This is the real thing before.
Now I know who you remind me of.
Who is that?
No, you look like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
The Wolfits. Oh my god, it's just like him.
I thought you were going to say Seinfeld. Good morning. We have something special that represents your mother, father, and your sister.
Grandmother.
Grandmother, sorry. We'll put this on the altar.
My sister's here.
Good morning, everyone. This is our special ZAZENKAI, which represents the memorial for the Buddha's passing, the parinirvana. And to represent that, I have a couple of traditional remembrances that we keep in other parts of the Zendo. This is an ihai, and it says on the ihai, for all the many generations of Zen ancestors. And this statue, which is usually described as a sleeping Buddha, was actually the Buddha in his final day offering his last teaching. In that time, he was very ill and he reclined. I often say to all of us, sometimes we all understand how he felt that day, I think. All right. We're doing a special ceremony today as well as remembrance, a special chant called the Shariraimon, which is for the aspects of the Buddha, the sacred aspects that remain with us today. And so there's also a dedication. I'd like you to listen closely. I've posted it on the forum. And if you get a chance, read it later. It's quite beautiful. Our talk today will be what many of these elements, these chants, mean for us today. All right? If you have someone in your heart to remember, please do. And this is for them as well. It's for Nishijima Gudo Wafu Roshi, my teacher. His teacher, Zuegaku Rempo Niwa Roshi, Zenji, actually. He was the abbot of Eiheiji. And all the ancestors. All of them. Let us begin.
The verse of homage to the Buddha's relics, Sharirai Moon. With wholehearted gratitude, we bow to the relics still present of the true body of the Tathagata Shakyamuni, who is fully endowed with myriad virtues through the Dharma body, which is truth itself, and to the whole universe, which is his stupa. With deep respect, we venerate the one who lived his life for the sake of all things, though the sustenance of Buddha, the truth, enters us and we enter to. Let us strive to benefit all living beings. Sorrows the thought of awakening, cultivate bodhisattva practice, and together enter perfect peace, the penetration of equality of all things. Now let us reverently bow with wholehearted gratitude. We bow to the relics still present of the true body of the Tathagata Shakyamuni, who is fully endowed with myriad virtues through the Dharma body, which is truth itself, and to the whole universe, which is his stupa. With deep respect, we venerate the one who lived his life for the sake of all things, though the sustenance of Buddha, the truth enters us and we enter truth. Let us strive to benefit all living beings, arouse the thought of awakening, cultivate bodhisattva practice, and together enter perfect peace, the penetration of equality of all things. Now let us reverently bow with wholehearted gratitude. We bow to the relics still present of the true body of the Tathagata Shakyamuni, who is fully endowed with myriad virtues, to the Dharma body, which is truth itself, and to the whole universe, which is his stupa. With deep respect, we venerate the one who lived his life for the sake of all things, though the sustenance of Buddha, the truth enters us, and we enter truth. Let us strive to benefit all living beings, arouse the thought of awakening, cultivate bodhisattva practice, and together enter perfect peace, the penetration of the equality of all things. Now let us reverently bow. Maka hanya haramita shingyo kanji zaibo satsugyo yin hanya haramita yisho kengo kai kudoi Saiku yakushari shikiku iku kuku shiki shiki sokuze kuku sokuze shiki ju sogyo shiki yaku myose shari Zesho hoku sohu shoyu yohu zohu genze koku Chunu Shikimu Yusoryo Shikimu Tenni Seshinmu Shikisho Komi Soku Homugen Pai Shinu Ishikikai Mumyo Yaku Mumyo Yinnai Shimu Roshi Yaku Roshi Jinmu Kushu Metsudo Muchi Yakumo Tokui Musho Tokudai Sadai Anya Hanamika Koshin Mukeige Mukeige Komukuwan Bisaiten no Soku Ryone Hansan Zeshotsude Hanya Haramita Ramita Kotokuwa Nokutara Sanyakusan Bodai Kochi Hanya Haramita Zedai Jinshu Zedai Myoshu Zemu Yoshu Zemu Doroshu Yoi Saiku Shinjitsu Fuko Setsu Hanya Haramita Shusoku Setsu Shuwatsu Yate Yate Hara Yate Hara Soyate Doyi Sowaka Hanya Shingyo. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, reality existing right here now. We recall this day when some 2,500 years ago, Shakyamuni Buddha, our historical teacher, entered into paranirvana in reciting the verse of homage to the Buddha's relics on the heart of the Perfection of Great Wisdom Sutra. We offer our reverence and dedicate this gathering to our great original source teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha. On this day of his entry into paranirvana, mindful of his teachings, we go forward with boundless gratitude and joy and vow to practice endlessly. The pure Dharma body of the Buddha is always clear, beyond birth and death and expressed by all things, yet cannot be seen so long as one is lost in duality. The Buddha lived within coming and going, birth and death, a man of great compassion for all living beings. For this we bow in gratitude and aspire that we may illuminate our minds in the midst of delusion. On this day we gather to commemorate our great teacher Shakyamuni Buddha's entry into paranirvana, and we offer incense, flowers, light, fruit, and sweet water, all symbols of reverence, life, and the satisfaction of all desires. We further dedicate the merits of this Zazen gathering in gratitude for his great compassionate acts and in leaving us these timeless teachings. The moon over Mount Ryoju, the vulture peak, shines wondrously in all directions. The salad trees bloom and their petals convey the fragrance of the Dharma down through time. The Buddha transcended desire, and his understanding has helped all who are deluded until this present moment. The merits of suchness will extend from the beginningless past to the endless future. All the myriad forms of existence join in recognizing the profound importance of this day and wholeheartedly reside with us, some in words and some in silence. We are filled with awe and countless voices which thus proclaim the Dharma, and we vow to embrace and sustain it endlessly. We also remember and dedicate this day and these efforts to all parents, to all our parents, grandparents, siblings, our relatives near and distant, all ancestors reaching back through generations, and our dear friends and other cherished ones who have passed from this same world. Thus, let the harmful effects of words, thoughts, and actions be dispelled and compassion bloom in perpetual spring. May we all realize and live the enlightened way together. All Buddhas throughout space and time. All Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, Maha Prashna Paramita. Zazen?
Zazen? of a long inhale. We will now have a talk and zazen. Please take a moment. This next part, you can drink tea, you can sit, you can listen, you can sit zazen and listen. Sit here if you wish, and have some tea as you wish. You can even leave if you wish, if the talk is very bad. All right? Kyonin, we're going to have the verse to open the sutra. Can everyone hear me? We'll be reading from these materials here, starting the first page and then the second page.
The Dharma, incomparably profound and infinitely subtle, is always encountered yet rarely perceived. Now we see, hear, receive, and maintain this. May we all realize the Tathagata's true meaning. The Dharma, incomparably profound and infinitely subtle, is always encountered yet rarely perceived. Now we see, hear, receive, and maintain this. May we all realize the Tathagata's true meaning. The Dharma, incomparably profound and infinitely subtle, is always encountered yet rarely perceived. Now we see, hear, receive, and maintain this. May we all realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Well, today is the day we remember our friends, our family, our ancestors who are no longer in this world, but who without we would not be here. And we honor them and we remember them. I have a little altar here that I've made with a representation of the Buddha in his final days, and a plaque that says, "To all the many generations of Zen ancestors," and an incense burner. And we remember them as well, for we would not be there without them. And this is the great mystery. Where have they gone? Where are we going to go when we leave this world? To answer that question, all the great religions, all the philosophers, all the scientists have either come up with some proposals or just thrown up their hands and says, I have no idea what will be. Buddhism is no different. Buddhism had some traditional answers for where and what happens after we die. The Buddha was a traditional man of India 2,500 years ago. I just came from India, so I know that he inherited beliefs that existed before his time. A man of India, he inherited traditional Indian beliefs on rebirth. These beliefs then came to China and Japan. Dogen, a man of the 13th century, also inherited these beliefs. Some people say that Dogen was a great modernist, but actually he was a traditional man of traditional culture in his time. And what we're going to read now was written towards the end of his life. He may have been very sick at the time. He only lived until his 50s. He actually died. He was younger than I am now. And that was a very old man back then. Sometimes it feels like a very old man even now. But in these final days, he wrote this, which is a very traditional view of what happens when we die, and his advice. He wrote, this is from Doshin, one of his final sections of the Shobogenzo. When you leave this life, and before you enter the next life, there is a place called an intermediary realm. Sometimes in Buddhism, this is called the bardo. It's kind of the waiting room. You stay there for 7 days. You should resolve to keep chanting the names of the three treasures without ceasing while you are there. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. That's the three treasures to us. After 7 days, you die in the intermediary realm and remain there for no more than 7 days. At this time, you can see and hear without hindrance, like having a celestial eye. Resolve to encourage yourself to keep chanting the names of the three treasures without ceasing. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. After passing through the intermediary realm, when you approach your parents to be conceived, now in Buddhism, we don't believe in a soul. So the question was, what actually passes on to the next? The way the Buddhists resolve this is to say, well, there is no soul, but there is some kind of continuing stream of, like the wave of causation that you have, your karma, like falling dominoes, is passing on. And it's a very traditional Buddhist belief, to make it very simple. If you were good in this life and previous lives, you will be born in a good place. And if you were bad, as an animal, as a ghost, maybe even in hell. We had our vision of hell too, with all the fire and the devils, just like those other folks. This vibration, this soul, this whatever, finds a man and a woman just at the right moment, you know what's going on, flies into the womb, and voila. So it says, when you approach your parents to be conceived, resolve to maintain authentic wisdom. Keep chanting refuge in the three treasures in your mother's womb. Do not neglect chanting while you are given birth. Resolve deeply to dedicate yourself to chant and take refuge in the three treasures through the six sense routes. That means through your senses, through your mind. Always keep these chants before you. When your life ends, your eyesight will suddenly become dark. Know that this is the end of your life and be determined to chant, I take refuge in the Buddha. Then all Buddhas in the 10 directions will show compassion to you. Even if due to conditions you are bound to an unwholesome realm, you will be able to be born in the Deva realm. That's one of the heavens, the good places, where we all live in mansions and have thrones and all the cotton candy and ice cream we wish. The buffet is always open. Actually, I don't think the Devas get hungry. That's an interesting point. I have to check that later. But it's a good place. Or in the presence of the Buddha, you may be reborn. Bow and listen to the Buddha. So the Dogen, at least in this period in his life, was a very traditional fellow. People sometimes ask me, what do you think? And they say, Jim, you're a very skeptical, modern guy. You believe in science. You don't believe in superstition. You always say that. And I say, well, I think someday people in the 25th century will look back at us and they will say, those people in the 21st century, how silly. Do you know they believed in gravity? The things we take for granted now will someday seem ridiculous to someone. And looking back in the 13th century or 2,500 years ago, we may look at some of these beliefs and say, how funny, how quaint. But you know something? I'm the kind of skeptic who says, but in fact, who knows? Who knows? Anything is possible. My strongest argument for why this is possible to be reborn is that it's so silly, so ridiculous, so impossible, so miraculous to be born once. Here we are in the middle of time and space. How did we get here? All the things that were involved, from the Big Bang to your grandparents falling in love and your mom and dad on the, falling in love, and all these things, and the air and the trees, and here we are. It's ridiculous. It's silly. What are we doing here once? Might as well happen again. And if it happens twice, might as well happen many times. But in Buddhism, traditionally, rebirth was not a good thing. The Buddha, I think, I just came from India. India is a hard place. He said, actually, we want to get out of being reborn. So when you become the Buddha, from this cycle of birth. However, for most of us, we live in a world where our good actions may bring us heavens and our bad actions may bring us hell. So I usually say to folks, I don't know about the next life. And to be honest, I kind of doubt these very detailed descriptions that we're going to look at today. But I know people who create heaven and hell for them in this life. So if you're good, if your heart is peaceful, if you're nonviolent, if you're generous and giving, you will create a kind of heaven in your heart for yourself, and maybe for the people around you, and maybe for your community. And if there is a next life, according to Buddha, maybe you'll be born with the devas. And if you're filled with anger and violence and greed and jealousy, I tell you, you have a real hell right now in your heart, in this life. And for the people around you, maybe you can make their lives like hell. So maybe in the next life, that will lead you to a bad place. But I'll tell you, in this life right now, be gentle, be good. Okay? That's my view. Whatever the situation, if there's heaven or hell in the next life, I know there is in this life. Be good. Be gentle. So anyway, people think that Soto Zen in general is very rational, scientific religion. Tell you the truth, it's not. It's a religion. Throughout its history, Buddhism also had ceremonies and beliefs, many of which we're encountering today, to say we have to help the spirits on their way, or the spirits, that's not the right word, this whatever. The Japanese actually have a strange relation to this that I'll explain in a second. Even though in Buddhism we're not supposed to have spirits, as I said, it's kind of a vibration that continues, the Japanese speak of spirits. Even though there's rebirth in traditional Buddhism, the Japanese don't like it. They don't want their grandfather reborn in some other family. They want their grandfather to stay around in this family. So the Japanese priest always kind of, as we say, hem and haw on this, if you ask them. Where did grandpa go? Now, according to traditional Buddhism, after a few days, 7 days or 49 days, he was reborn in heaven or hell or as somebody else in the human world here, in some other family. And the Japanese don't want that. They said, no, we want our grandpa to stay in our family and his spirit to stay around us. So the Japanese priests, if you ask them, kind of throw up their shoulders and say, well, he was reborn, but he's still here. So you're going to see that there's a little ambiguity in these ceremonies. But let's look at these ceremonies. And here's my job as Jundo, the Buddhist modernist. You can take these ceremonies, which have a lot of magic and superstition, and say, they're meaningless. Let's get rid of these. That's one option. Or you can be a kind of traditional person, and there are many still in Buddhism, not just in Asia and the West, who say, no, we must take this literally. This is what it says in the book, and we must believe this. I leave that to you. Or you can do what I do, which is to say, look, we can take these beliefs and try to look at them in a modern way, finding meaning in social and real terms. Do we have to throw them away, or can we find some beauty in them now? That's what I'm going to try to do for you. But let's look at the modern belief. This is from an essay by Kokyu Hinkle on the Soto Zen funerals. Zen Buddhist ceremonies for the dead, most of which originated in 10th century China before Dogen, all right? Funeral ceremonies performed by the living can help the intermediary realm being, the stream of consciousness, to realize complete awakening, or to be born in a pure land, that's where the Buddha lives, or at least rebirth in the upper realms of gods, or back here in human beings, which is kind of in the middle place. We're between heaven and hell right here. In Soto Zen, the funeral for lay people begins with ordaining the deceased as a Zen priest, Shuke Tokudo. Now, everybody who dies in Japan becomes a priest, with the idea that a priest will get a good reward in the next life. So the funeral in Japan is actually a priest's ordination. They shave the head, they give the precepts. It's very much like our Jukai. They give a little robe. Now you're going to ask the question, you know, the part of the ceremony, they ask the precepts. You're supposed to say, yes, I will abide by the precepts. But how does the deceased fellow say that? You know, will you promise not to steal? And the priest who's doing the ceremony goes, yes, yes. No, actually, you hear it in your heart. The guy doesn't do ventriloquism. But we assume that the deceased has agreed to abide by the precepts. So they receive the Bodhisattva precepts, Jukai. The next part of the ceremony, the initiation into awakening, and the blood lineage document, like many of our Jukai recipients receive, the Kechimiyaku, as a blessed talisman. Then there are words of guidance and encouragement for the deceased. They give them kind of a roadmap and instructions for what to do in the next world, such as Dogen did here about chanting for the three treasures. By the way, again, is this literally true? I leave it to you. But please remember this. If you do die, you wake up in the intermediary realm. Remember what Dogen told you and start chanting. All right? Just make a mental note, please. You close your eyes, you wake up, oh, I take refuge in Buddha, or if you're of the other religion, I don't think it matters. You can say Jesus. Whatever you wish, I don't think it matters. I'm going to say that as a Buddhist. That's sacrilegious to some people. But anyway, as part of the ceremony, they give some guidance and encouragement. Hang in there, guy. You'll get a good rebirth. Hang in there. We're with you. We're chanting for you. Then there's the recitation of the 10 names of Buddha and a dedication of merit to adorn the deceased place of destination wherever it may be. Incense is offered as nourishment for the intermediate realm scent eaters. There are certain spirits in the intermediary realm who are helping the deceased, and they eat the incense. So actually, we're burning incense here. The scent of the incense is actually the food to sustain these helpful spirits in the intermediary realm. Okay, and you thought it was just incense. Now, since nobody can know the destination of the deceased person's stream of consciousness, the living just encourage and assist it towards awakening. It is taught that the intermediate realm beings and other non-physical beings, such as hungry spirits, can hear speech in the other world. perceive thoughts and intentions, and meet the living in various ways imperceptible on the gross level, with their subtle immaterial bodies and sense facilities. Let me tell you something. We need this because you miss your mother. I miss my parents and loved ones. Human beings, is this real? Yes, it's real, at least in my heart, but it's real out there, fine. But I need to speak to my deceased mother and father sometimes, and all my friends. I found out this year 2 of my dearest friends left this world. It was a shock and a surprise, and I miss them. I need to speak to them sometimes. Can they hear me? I hear them in my heart. I hear their voice right now, speaking to me in my heart. So whatever you take this to be, speaking to the deceased, even praying for them and wishing that if there is another world that they are at peace or go a good place. Yes, of course, we love them. Of course. That's what's going on here. So you take this as you will, but in the very least, they're here in my heart. They're here. Now, memorial ceremonies are performed every 7 days after death, calling on different Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to help the deceased realize awakening or birth in a pure land. That's where the Buddha lives. For each of the 7 weeks of the intermediate realm, up to 49 days. That's why if you ever go to a Japanese funeral, they have the funeral, then they have a ceremony on the 7th day, and they have supposedly another one 49 days, and it continues. Now, here's the thing. Business is business in Japan. It's not like the old days. Families are living all over the place now, and it's not easy for the families to get together for a funeral. Most of the funerals now actually compress the funeral on the 1st day and the 7th-day ceremony into one ceremony, because they knew the family can't come back so easily. And that ceremony on the 7th day is very important. What to do? The priests in Japan said, oh, very easy. Like Einstein, we'll bend time. We bring the 7th day to the 1st day. Solved. Buddhists, we have this ability like physicists. We can bend time. So the 7th day ceremony actually takes place on the 1st day now in Japan. All right. So for each of the 7 weeks of the intermediate realm, up to 49 days, when the intermediate being has either realized complete awakening, then he's a Buddha, then he's out of the game. He's escaped the cycle of birth and death. Or he's been born in a pure land. That's where, for example, Amida Buddha lives, and that's a very good place because it's very easy to practice there. Or he's been born in one of the 6 realms as a bodhisattva, hopefully one of the upper 6 realms, or as an ordinary being. Annual memorials in Japan are traditionally performed up to 33 years, the maximum time in human years. Now, let me tell you, this is lovely too. You go to a Japanese cemetery. The spirit fades, the memories, the pain, the loss. The love remains, but people remember the funeral, the first ceremony, the 7th year ceremony. People come. The Japanese people, the families get together. But after that, the ceremonies become sometimes forgotten, lighter, like our memories. The person who has gone has now returned to the world. And so sometimes these ceremonies are not honored as often as they were in the past, perhaps. But, you know, the Japanese even reuse the grave. In the West, we don't do that. You put this is your grave forever. You're going to stay here. No, no, no. After this period has ended, what's left of the bones and ashes are removed. There's a special place in the temple where they place this, and the grave is given to someone else. There's nothing there anymore. The memory the spirit has returned to where it should be. People find that shocking that they reuse the graves in Japan, but no. Anyway, space here is at a premium, right? You're only renting your grave in Japan. All right. Now, where was I here? Annual memorials in Japan are traditionally performed up to 33 years, the maximum time in human years it takes for a bodhisattva in a pure land to realize complete awakening. So, in other words, some people have already passed to new lives quickly after a day, or after 7 days, after 49 days at the outside for those slow pokes. The folks in the Buddha, in the Pure Land, may need the 33 years, so we keep chanting. But actually, by this time, most people have already assumed their new lives. But as I said, the Japanese don't really want this, because this is all about ancestor worship in Japan. They want the spirits of the ancestors to stay in the house. They don't want them to go to some other family. So there are all kinds of ceremonies that actually represent the families saying that these people are still here. When there's a meal, when there's a celebration, when a child gets into a good school, when someone's sick, when some baby is born, it is announced to these relatives. They are in the house. There's a special place in the house to represent them. Meals, the New Year, they are there. Other times they're said to be in the other world. There are days when they come to visit, the Obon holiday in Japan. All right, now we're going to read about that. Ceremonies for feeding the hungry ghosts are performed every evening in Zen monasteries. Now, this is another thing. This is not a hell, but if you were a greedy, hungry person, you go to a realm where you're a hungry ghost. A hungry ghost can never be satisfied. There are pictures of hungry ghosts where their neck is so small and tight that they're hungry, 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 but nothing will enter the mouth. This is to be a hungry ghost. There's a famous story about the hungry ghost and the spoons. A fellow goes to the world of hungry ghosts, and he sees all the hungry ghosts trying to feed themselves with these incredibly long spoons. And the spoons are so long, they can't get them to their mouth, so they're all starving. If only that they realized they could feed each other, they would not be hungry. But they're so greedy that they only try to feed themselves, and they can't do it. All they have to do is think about the other person. Do these realms of hungry ghosts really exist? Some people believe that there are truly a realm of hungry ghosts. You know what? I've seen it in myself. My own greed, my own selfishness. I've seen it in this world. I believe in hungry ghosts in this world, in my own heart sometimes. That's what this represents to me. But anyway, we have a ceremony to feed the hungry ghosts. It's performed every night in Zen monasteries and a few times a year on a larger scale for any deceased who may have been born in the hungry spirit or hell realms, as well as for nature spirits and all one's deceased relatives, whether or not they are in the hungry spirit realm. This ceremony gives them nourishment, human food transformed and made edible through the powerful intention expressed by mantras and mudras. Mudras are mystical hand gestures. And encourages them to be born in a pure land and become awakened ones to benefit all beings. By the way, you don't stay in hell forever in Buddhism. You stay there a very long time, maybe, believe me, a long time. Like a few big bangs. But you eventually come out. Even heaven, by the way, is not considered an ideal place as a Buddhist. Do you know why? It's so nice, you actually get attached to it. And anyway, you eventually have to leave there too. The best place to be actually is as a human being, right on the cutting edge between heaven and hell, because this is where we can practice. This is where we can have realization. One place, we're being punished, burning off that bad karma. The other place, too nice. Be fortunate that you were born as a human being. All right. Now, hungry spirits look for nourishment, particularly in the evening. Me too. About 8 o'clock, a little peckish, a couple of cookies. Right? Anyone? Okay. And during the Obon festival in mid-July or August. You've seen that in Japan, the Dance of the Dead we saw that, the Obon. The spirits actually come to the house and they have a party and everyone dances. Right? And then after a few days, the spirits are sent back to the other world. Ceremonies for liberating animals are performed occasionally for freeing animals from being killed and also to encourage them to be born in the next life in the Pure Land. You're from Scuba University? Do you know they have this ceremony at the university for all the animals who are killed in experimentation? All the big scientists over at the university, the biologists, for all the rats and guinea pigs, have a ceremony there. They call out the priest and they say, we've experimented on all these animals and we are grateful. And they have a Buddhist ceremony for all the animals killed at the university. And then they go back to being serious scientists after that. Right? You use mice in your experiments, do you not? Remember that. Be nice to your mice. They were somebody's mother. You know that song? I got to sing it. Be kind to your web-footed friends, cause a duck may be somebody's mother. Did you ever hear that song? It's an American children's song. I didn't realize it was about Buddhism until just now. Okay. Daily services in Zen temples involve making offerings, chantings, and dedications of merit generated from these. We believe in merit in Buddhism. The good things you do can be transferred to others. So, for example, it's like a spiritual bank account. If you do something like make a donation to a temple or light incense or have a ceremony, you can actually either get the merit yourself, which will get you a rebirth, or donate it to, for example, your deceased mother and say, help her. All right, if you want to do that. So remember, the good things you do in this life are transferable, right? And no fees involved, no transfer fees. You don't need PayPal for this. There's no karmic PayPal. Just in your heart, you can transfer the fees of your good actions to help others, living or deceased. Okay, where am I here? Morning service is generally dedicated to awakened ones, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, including Dharma protectors, and deceased ancestors. I'm going to basically skip through this paragraph. And I'm going to go to the next paragraph. Memorial tablets, we have one right here. That's an ihai. It says to all the Zen ancestors. But if your grandfather dies, we have one in the house for all. My wife's a Yamaguchi. All the Yamaguchi, her father has one with his name on it. All right? There are also big ones made of wood that you see at the gravesite called a toba or stupa. They look like this, but they're made of wood and they're much longer. With the deceased name. And this is a dwelling place in the human realm for the deceased person who has now potentially become an awakened reality body. In other words, the spirit comes from the other world, needs a place to stay, right? Needs a room, can't stay in a hotel, right here. This is the place that houses the spirit of the deceased. For me, it's a plaque with a name on it to remember. Is the spirit actually there? Yes, in my heart, because I remember, because I love, because I'm grateful to the ancestors. They're there in my heart. But is the spirit actually there? Maybe. But in my heart, yes. You take it as you will. But you want to know something? And you're going to hear in a second about the Butsudan. The Butsudan, this is a kind of version we have back here. The Butsudan is the home altar for the ancestors. Are the spirits there? Do you know my mother-in-law gets up every day and talks to her deceased husband, reports everything in the family, asks him for advice, listens to him, and he's been gone for 15 years. He's in the Butsudan, the Buddhist altar in the house of the family. He's in the ihai. She hears him. She speaks to him. She cries with him. She laughs with him. The family brings him food every morning. When you visit the house, the first thing you go is go there to the EHI, you ring the bell and you say, "Hi, Grandpa, we're here." So he lives because he lives for the people in that place. It is his home. Maybe we need this as human beings. We can't just let people go. We need to keep them close by. This is the place where they are. When we look at this, we see them. We see their face. All right? This is the high right here. Since the maximum time in a pure land, becoming a Buddha is 33 years, memorial tablets can be burned after the time has passed or kept as tablets. Please excuse me for skipping this. I hope I'm not getting bad karma by rushing this. Anyway, it says at the last sentence, a home Buddhist altar, especially if it holds memorial tablets, can be understood as a miniature representation of a pure land where the deceased one now dwells. Of course, non-physical beings are not limited to that particular dwelling place, but that is where humans can meet them, make offerings to them, and receive their blessings. As I also said, love them, talk to them, cry with them, report about the new baby, report about the child who has entered high school. Keep them close. So the Japanese don't want to let their ancestors go. Whether they're reborn, not reborn, the Japanese keep them close. Don't we all need to do that? Now, one last second. I was originally going to read Shobogenzo Shoji, which is something I've spoken about many times. It's a beautiful section by Master Dogen in which he looks at not so much death, but living and dying and the right way to do it. I've spoken about it before, so I'm not going to speak it today, except one passage where he says, this is the right way to live. This is the right way to die. This is not advice about the spirits in the next world. This is advice for you and me now and when that time comes. Okay? I'm going to read this. The second paragraph of Shoji. This life and death is just the sacred life of Buddha. If we hate it and want to get rid of it, that is just wanting to lose the sacred life of Buddha. People want to run from death. Don't. As I sometimes say, live life as if your life depended upon it. Die with all your heart or die trying. Die as if it's a matter of life and death. That's what Dogen's saying here. If we stick in it, if we attach to life and death, this is also to lose the sacred life of Buddha. Don't be attached to life and fear death. Some people even attach to death and fear life. Dogen often says, when life comes, let it be life and live. When death comes, let it be death. Just go. Everything in its time. We confine ourselves to the condition of Buddha. When we are without dislike and without longing, then for the first time we enter the mind of Buddha. But do not consider it with mind and do not say it with words. When we just let go of our own body and our own mind and throw them into the house of Buddha, they are set into action from the side of Buddha. Boy, he had a way with words. And then we continue to obey this. In other words, the Buddha is without likes, without dislikes. Don't be too attached to this life. Live it. Now's your chance. And someday you will be an NEHAN-E. When that time comes, we'll bow to you. In the meantime, let's sit and bow and remember and love and sometimes forgive, because there were some hard folks out there. Forgiving is important too. And be grateful for all our ancestors. They had their suffering. May they know peace now. Anybody have a question or anything on their mind? Did I completely solve the mystery of life and death for you? Everything's... Anyone out there? No? Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Okay. Shall we have the verse to close the sutra? Kyone?
May the merits of these teachings penetrate into each thing in all places, so that we and every sentient being together may realize the Buddha's way. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, Maha Prajna Paramita.
Okay. Now we just have a short zazen, which means just a few minutes, remembering that zazen is not always a matter of long or short, kind of like life. It is just right now. So you can sit where you are, you can go over there, and we're going to sit, okay, just for a few minutes. I'll ring the bell. You can even take that pose, or okay. You have she has the warmers on her feet so nicely. I don't want to make her get in the lotus position. I don't know what yoga position this is, but it looks good. Okay. Kinhin? Kinhin? You can still take a break, drink tea if you wish. Okay. Let me see about the heater. Let me check the oil.
It's enough if I just press the button. It's enough if I just press the button.
Yeah, just push it. It'll come up. Did you push it? Again, this is a great time. You know the hokey pokey? Hokey pokey did? Did you know it's a traditional Buddhist thing? You love the party. It's hokey pokey time. Now, you didn't know this was, I have to explain to our first time visitor, we needed some way to stretch because it's the middle. And we were doing all kinds of, and then I realized the hokey pokey. Perfect. You know, but today is a special time. We invite all the Buddhas and our ancestors, if they would, and assuming they have arms and legs still, you know, to dance the hokey pokey with us. Are you ready? Put your right hand in, put your right hand out, put your right hand in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself about. That's what it's all about. You put your left hand in, you pull your left hand out, you put your left hand in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself about. That's what it's all about. You put your right leg in, you pull your right leg out. You put your right leg in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself about. So that's what it's all about. You put your left leg in, leg. You put your left leg out, you put your left leg in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself about. That's what it's all about. Something's wrong with my bell. I gotta get my bell tuned. I have an out of tune bell. Anyway, Zazen. will have a long kinhin. We will now recite the metaverses, followed by Zazen. Again, you can sit here or come here and have tea. I'll explain about the metaverses. It's something, it's a nice practice.
Can you stand here as well?
You can stand or sit. No rule about standing. These are the metaverse. I'll explain about them here. I think you know that, right? And again, you can sit as you wish. Oh, you like the heat? It's okay. I see. Between heaven and hell, right there, the heat is perfect right there. Okay. Okay. Well, I have to thank someone here. All right, we have a first-time person here and some others at home. So I need to explain again about the metaverses. This is a tradition actually from South Asian Buddhism that has become very meaningful to many Buddhists in North America. I don't know if I've seen it so often here in Japan, but it's a lovely tradition. You are wishing people well. That's all. You could take it again to a very mystical, deep level that actually your wishes are traveling around the world and actually going to help them. But you know, if you just have a heart of wishing people well, it has effects. I mean, if you're an angry person and you do bad, it has effects. In this day of the internet, your anger, you know, you get on the internet and you post some nasty message on a bulletin board and it creates bad feelings all around the world. It's kind of like that. So if you have a good heart, a generous heart, it also travels. We wish this for all sentient beings, but there's nothing wrong again with beginning with ourselves. You can wish yourself to know peace and contentment and equanimity. Nothing wrong with it. Then someone you love in your family, then a friend, then a stranger, someone you barely pass. You know, we're all interconnected in the world. Even the people you don't see or you pass in the street have deep effects on your life. Wish them well. Then the most difficult for many people, someone who is painful in your life or painful in this world. Someone who even does great harm, wish them peace. This is the part I always have to explain. Why? If they were truly at peace, if they were truly content, if they were truly free of anger and knew health, they would not be that way. So maybe it might be too late for some who are already in a hell of their own. But when you wish this, maybe for someone else, if they were free of anger and greed, they would not do violence. They would not do destruction in this world. So that is why we wish even peace to someone difficult. And then we wish for all sentient beings everywhere. Now, today's big theological question. Can you include the people who have left this world? I'll solve this big theological question this way. Sure, why not? If there's someone who has left this world and they've been reborn someplace, or they're in heaven or hell, well, maybe they need this too. I think the people in heaven, they have their own problems, and the people in hell certainly could use a little peace and contentment there too. So you could include the people who have left this world too, if you wish. I don't think there's a rule against it. Okay? Another great doctrinal question solved by Jundo. Shall we chat now? Okay. With my out of tune bell. we begin with ourselves. May I be free of suffering. May I feel safe and still. May I be free of enmity. Enmity means hate. May I be loving, grateful, and kind. May I be healthy, and, because we're not always healthy, in all my ills. May I be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. You can say the words too in your heart if you wish. All right, now someone in your family, someone you love, either in the present world or someone who has left. May she be free of suffering. May she feel safe and still. May she be free of enmity. May she be loving, grateful, and kind. May she be healthy and at ease in all her ills. May she be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Okay, now someone who is a friend. You have someone in mind? Someone asked, can I include more than one person? I solved that doctrinal question, I think, 2 months ago. Yes, you may. May he be free of suffering. May he feel safe and still. May he be free of enmity. May he be loving, grateful, and kind. May he be healthy and at ease in all his ills. May he be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Really feel it in your heart. I mean, when you feel anger, you really feel it in your heart, right? So when you say these words, that I wish you well, really feel in your heart, I wish this person well. Right? Now, a passing stranger, someone we barely met. I'll chant for the workman who was just here picking up his ladder. May he be free of suffering. May he feel safe and still. May he be free of enmity. May he be loving, grateful, and kind. May he be healthy and at ease in all his ills. May he be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. All right, now the hard one. Someone in this world who drives us crazy, who's caused us pain, who's doing damage, who's harming others, who's done violence, you name it. If this person knew peace, would it be so? May he be free of suffering. May he feel safe and still. May he be free of enmity. May he be loving, grateful, and kind. May he be healthy and at ease in all his ills. May he be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. All right, now for all sentient beings everywhere, in this life, in the next life, in the intermediary realm, and as a Star Trek fan, another doctrinal question I solved. Yes, it includes other planets. Let us chant for all sentient beings. May we be free of suffering. May we feel safe and still. May we be free of enmity. May we be loving, grateful, and kind. May we be healthy and at ease in all our ills. May we be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. I'm going to chant for my bell to get my bell fixed. Wait a second. I think, oh, maybe I figured it out. Wait. No. Anyway. Gee, what shall we do now? I know. Zazen. Just a little bit more. Just a little. No, Zazen. You can sit back there if you want, or sit here, anywhere you want. Okay? We will now recite the verse of atonement and the 4 vows. Nothing sensitive.
Just. Thank you.
All harmful words, thoughts, and acts committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and mind. Now I atone for them all. To save all sentient beings, though beings numberless, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, way unattainable, to save all sentient beings, though beings numberless, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, way unattainable, to save all sentient beings, though beings numberless, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way unattainable.
Okay, everyone out there, and I include, today we sat with friends, family that are not with us, Sangha members we've lost this past year, Niwa, Zenji, Nishijima, Guda Rafu, my teacher, all with us today, and the folks at home. Say hi.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Hello everyone.
Hi, Zan, good to see you. Peace to you. Enjoy the people you love and your friends and family who are still in this world this weekend. All right. See you guys later. Bye.